Hi, welcome back. Part 2, it works, and I'll show you in a minute. I didn't video making hydraulic hoses up and all the rest of it. It's not very exciting, I can assure you, and I had to fit it in around everything else. But I've used, instead of getting crimped hoses, because I'm making this fit my Transit, I've used DIY jobs, and I've used these for years, never had a problem, as long as you use the right fitting for the right hose. This is 2SN pipe. They all are. This is quarter, which is all the services, and it's 3/8 feed and return from the pump. This bit, camera pick it up, this screws on this pipe left hand backwards. Wind it down till it stops, and then you put a bit of oil on this and wind this down inside. I generally grab this bit in the vise once you've got it on the pipe. You can either put the outer on with a socket and a ratchet. I use an impact because it's just easier with all impacts these days. I've never had one of these come off, ever. And I've used 2SN pipe instead of 1SN. Basically it means it's got a lot more guts to it, a lot more layers. And as long as they don't chafe, this stuff lasts for years and years, and it is easy to replace if you do your own thing. Now, of course, the only difference between this and the original spool chest is when you operate the levers on the original, it would start the pump. Well, I put a switch in on the mounting bracket, because I put the mounting bracket for the spool valve on the Transit. The cab's here, this is the back of the cab, and the Transit body bed goes that way. So this is kind of how it's set up. So I could put the spool chest on and measure and work out all my pipe lengths. Hopefully I've got it right. I've allowed a bit extra anyway. But yeah, it all seems to work really well. I'll show you. I just got to remember what does what. The only thing is when you're loading and messing about with the hook on the end, you need to remember to turn the pump off so it's just not freewheeling, just circulating oil, because it runs your battery down. The Transit does have a split charge system on it anyway. I've just got to put the cable from the main contactor isolator, which is switched from the cab, into where the pump goes on the back. And there is a waterproof version of that switch which goes with the valve chest, so I can just switch the pump off and on from outside. This gets... I'll go out. Now, this goes out, I'll swing it around, goes out another metre. It can lift 1.2 tonnes closed, 650 where it is now, and 440 kilos at 3 metres, which is fine for me. You can make the manual section powered by putting another ram on, but it's extra weight, I don't see the point. I don't need it for what I do. I might regret saying that, and I might end up doing it at some point, but it could be retrofitted, it's not a problem. I'll show you going around now. I've got to remember which way the levers work. I'll have to put a little drawing on the side of the Transit to remind me which way around it all goes, because I'll forget. That, you can't see it on here. I'll move the camera so you can see that's with it closed. There's another metre that sticks out of that. So it goes the length of the bed, which is plenty for me. And it will come round, bearing in mind the cab's here, it comes round, it will go right over the cab. Now I know this isn't Speedy Gonzales, but this is plenty fast enough for me on my own, loading and unloading stuff. and it all runs really, really smoothly. I mean, we were very lucky to pick up a crane that wasn't clapped out, and it wasn't, but no real wear in it, just the bearings on the rotator there were contaminated and ruined. And I've checked the anti-burst valves. If you drop the pressure off on one line, the ram locks, so it all works. And I wasn't sure how good the main lift ram was, because obviously I couldn't get it out without pressurising it, but it's in really good nick, there's no damage to it. So all in all, that's been quite a success, and I'm really pleased with what I managed to achieve. I will put, there's a port on the anti-burst valve on the main lift ram. I will put a pressure switch in there set at the right pressure to sound an alarm, a light and an audible warning when I've hit my maximum. On the original circuitry it would have had it so it stopped going up and it won't boom out anymore. You'll have to pull it back in, but I'll stop when it gets to that point. I don't want to break it because it's me that's got to pay to fix it. So I'll get that organised. And I pressure tested the pump once I pumped all the air out of it, and it pumps at 2000 psi, deadheads at 2000 psi. And this pipe, this particular quarter bore pipe, max burst pressure is ridiculous, 24,000 psi, and I think the 3.8 is like 19,800 psi, so we're well within spec. So next job is to make the base plate. I've ordered the material, and I will drill and tap the 4 holes and modify my base plate, and that's when the crane's got to come off, and I still use the crane that's on the transit now, so I can't just do it and leave it off. I do need it. So the next bit of the video will be me making that and modifying those bits, but yeah, real success. And I think I was lucky picking up a crane in really good nick. They're cosmetically a bit scruffy, but mechanically quite good and didn't need a lot of refurb. I think I've spent, at this point, all materials, buying the crane, everything working, I think it stands me in about £1,100. Well, if I bought a brand new variant of this, whoever makes them, you know, whether it's a maxi lift or a Hiab or, you know, Atlas or whoever, delivered on a pallet as you see it, I think they're like 5-6 grand, depending on what you spend, and then you've still got to make it fit your vehicle. I know there's my time to factor into making pipes and doing the pins and that, but none of this is rocket science or particularly time consuming. I just have to dive on it when I get 5 minutes in between the workload. So I'm hoping by the time this is on here and working, we're going to be well under £1,500 actual outlay, which will be a right result. So next bit, let's get the base plate done. This is a oops, I forgot to video this bit moment. So I'm doing it now. I've just got a International 30 adapter to MT3, so I'm going to put a 17.5mm drill bit in to drill the 4 holes, because 17.5mm is tapping size for M20 by 2.5. So I'm just going to get this swapped over, and I'm going to start the tapping by hand, but I want to use the mill to make sure I keep it straight, because the holes on the crane are 21.5mm, so we've got a bit of clearance, but the bolts have got to go in perfectly straight, otherwise we're not going to get all 4 bolts in. So I'll get set up for that, and I'll come back. Now I stick a taper tap in the chuck. Now the chuck will only hold it to a point. Eventually the tap bites, so it slips in the chuck, because I don't have a tapping head big enough for M20 by 2.5 taps. But at least it's 2/3 of the way in and it's square. Now I can take that out and carry on with the standard tap wrench, as you can see in the background there. The drawbar that goes down through the mill that holds the International 30 tooling in is what I put a spanner on. I used to turn it and just wind it down. Bit crude, but it's 4 holes and it works. So that's how I'm doing this bit. Now I know that bolt there does clear when it goes right in. It clears the motor, because I'll just pull the motor off for a moment. but all the bolts in, and they're all screwed in finger tight by hand, no problem at all. So this is actually the front, this end, so the bed goes out from beyond this, so yeah, it fits. So no matter how good you are with your maths and marking out, it's far easier to rectify that if you made a mistake than it is to weld it on and realise you made a mistake. So my next job is to get the old crane off. Right, I'm at the point I need to get that on there. Now this isn't just welded on to that plinth that was there from the old crane, and I'll show you why this is spaced up to the old crane. I welded some 10mm plate down inside that I cut some large holes in so I could weld around the sides as well as the corners, and this goes right through to the body underneath. And then this is welded on the inside, not all the way but stitched in big chunks, and under here this plate's never going to flex. So as long as my welding is as good as it usually is, it shouldn't come off. But we are going to fully load test this, and it's going to be loader tested as well once I've got it all working correctly. And the reason, if I turn the camera around, this had to be stood off. I'll show you why the old crane is the way it is. If I come around there, you see that here, this socket disappears down, and to stop that hitting the exhaust, I had to build that up to make it work. If we'd have started off with the new HIAB, I would have been able to just put a plate on the bed, but it's not the way it worked out, so hence we had to do it this way. And this stuff is glued on here with modern body adhesive, panel, whatever you want to call it, not something used in a body shop, but it sticks like you wouldn't believe. And I would destroy this aluminium plate getting it off in order to then chop this out, make this a bit bigger, and it just, putting the 10mm plates on was the lesser of two evils in my opinion. We'll find out whether it's going to work. It should do. I've done lots of drawing, doodling and maths, and I have done this before, so we should be good to go. So now it's push, shove, left, right, in a lot of room, because I'm going to pick the new HIAB up with the block and tackle, and I'm going to nudge the transit round under it and drop it on. I don't want to take the old crane off the back because somebody wants that. It's been pestering me, can I have it, can I have it, the moment I swap this over. So I'm hoping I can just give him a call and say, guess what, special delivery is coming round, and I can offload it, then it is placed. The spare wheel will go back on, the valve chest and that goes over there, but I just need to be able to get the bolts and that in, so I'll just clear the deck so I can get in here. So let's get the thing slung on there. This would be much easier if I had someone who could drive my loader, and we could do it outside, because it's not currently raining, snowing, sleeting or doing anything unpleasant. I'm sure given half a chance it will. Right. Somewhere kind of sort of there-ish. Let's give it a go. Here you go, a bit higher. This is what this is going to be like. Just see nothing. Okay, nearly there. Straight back and probably do that. Let's turn that off a bit. Actually goes the other way around. Actually goes that way around. Right. To go back a wee bit. That'll do. Alright, on the podger. Yeah, that'll work. Right. Now I'll put some copper slip on these bolts because obviously I might need to get them out at some point. Need the washers on those, you idiot. Stupid boy. Put the washers on. I've got to take the rotator motor off. Ta-da! It's all back together. I didn't bother filming connecting a few pipes up now. I'll bring you around and show you where the pump is under here and what's under the bonnet, how it's all wired. All the valves are in here, but it should work. There's a master switch in the cab which cuts a contactor under the bonnet which shuts everything off, so you've got a switch here which runs a pump, because remember this thing, when you operated the original spool valves on the original system, would have started the pump. So I put a switch here that I can start the pump, do what I've got to do and turn it off, and there's a master contactor to kill it in case of emergency, and there's fuses in line, I'll show you. But it all goes right round, it goes right over the cab. Not that I'll probably ever need that, but and obviously there's another meter, comes out a bit more. Oh wait, go the right way. So I'll have to put a drawing on here to tell me where the what does what. And if you pull out the manual bit, it goes to the end of the bed, which is good enough for me. I won't leave the hook on when it's on here because it's just going to clank around, and if you've ever driven a DI Transit, they make enough noise as it is without a hook clanking around behind you. And being this is less stuck up than the old crane, maybe I'll go a bit quicker because I've only got 68 horsepower on a good day. That's all DI, non-turbo DI's ever had. So we'll have to see, won't we? But yeah, it's done. Hallelujah, what a project. I will now borrow a load cell and do some testing hopefully tomorrow, and then after that we'll get it Lola tested as well, work out what's got to be done for that. But it's on and it's working, and I think we'll call that it for this video. It's been quite a project, this one. I'll just say thanks for watching. I hope it's useful to someone, and we'll see you in the next one. Right, just before we go, I said I'd show you in here. Right, nothing very special. That's the battery that runs the pump. Down there is an 800 amp contactor, and down there is a 500 amp fuse, because I think the pump takes a maximum of 400 amps. There's a little 5 amp fuse in the control line for that contactor. The Transit does have a split charge system on it, so once the starter battery's up, it will then start charging this battery. Come round here, look in here. Right there, your hydraulic valves. That's the little switch there to switch the pump off and on, as we don't have it built into the valve chest like it would have had. And then under here, next to the fuel tank, that's a hydraulic pump, a bit like a tail lift pump or a tipper pump you'd have on a little tipper Transit. Same idea, I think. Right, that is it.